I usually go through these sort of roll, book choice, but I need you to see this one from start to finish. It is time for the best video of the month, the TBR video. In April, I'm planning to take part in 2 readathons, one being Orilium Magical Readathon, and for that one, as ever, I'm planning on being way too ambitious, way too over the top, and so I'm gonna have a whole separate TBR video just for Orilium. That one hopefully is gonna be out sometime in the next week, so keep an eye out for it. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking to you about all my other plans for the month. So we're gonna be talking about buddy reads, we're going to be doing my TBR Tailspin game, and we're going to be talking about my plans for Old School April. This month I have 2 buddy reads. I'll be doing His Face the Sun with Clint from Reads Readers. This is a YA Egyptian inspired fantasy about princesses and rebels and rebellions. Katara is a kingdom divided. The pharaoh is dying and his enemies are great. As rebellion grows and secrets flourish, 4 strangers must face their destinies. The princess, the priestess, the rebel, the tomb robber. Who will sit on the throne when the bloodshed is done? This is the first in a trilogy. It looks like it's going to have some really expansive world building, so I have really high hopes for it. My second buddy read is When the Moon Hatched, and I'm going to be reading this one with Drew from Drew's Ambitious Reading. As an assassin for the rebellion, Reeve's job is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter shatters her world, Reeve finds herself captured by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful Faye. When the Moon Hatched will transport you into a world filled with magic, dragons, and a love that blazes through the ages. This one is going to be more of an adult romantasy. It is a bit chunky, and I've heard some people say that it is a bit of a slower paced one. So I think knowing that going in is really going to help me, so I'm not surprised if it takes a while for the plot to really kick off. It sounds like one where the prose is going to be really pretty. It's going to be quite meandering, maybe quite descriptive. And as long as I'm in the mood for that, I should enjoy it. I think this is one that I will probably try and pace throughout the month. Whereas His Face the Sun, I think I'll probably read it in fairly large chunks. I did debate whether or not I was going to do my Tailspin Rolls this month, because originally I did get sometimes, 9, 10, 12 books in a month. And with Orilium, I'm fully expecting that I'm going to get a TBR definitely in the teens, upper teens, maybe even 20s. So I was a little unsure, but I decided to go for it anyway. The past couple of months have been more around the 4 to 6 mark, and that seems doable. Hopefully I'll be able to overlap quite a lot once the Orilium prompts come out. So I'm wanting to land on those generic prompts rather than my green prompt cards. But we're gonna go into the rules now. I usually go through these sort of roll, book choice, but I need you to see this one from start to finish. We're using a 20-sided die, and our first roll is a 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And this is a reread, so I need to find something that I'm in the mood to reread. I don't reread often, so it'll probably be maybe a Terry Pratchett, or possibly I'll get back to the Anne Rice books, which I've been saying I would reread forever. We'll see. The next roll is an 18, another really good number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another reread. Okay, it's gonna be challenging just because I don't typically reread a lot. I'm sure there are plenty of books I would love to reread, I just need to think of them. And that's a 10, so we are going in this direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another reread. Okay. Maybe I'll reread a trilogy. I'm not panicking, it's fine. We're just gonna end up with extra books, I think, this month. Okay. And 19. This might be quite good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that takes us to the end. So, yeah. Number-wise, we're okay, but those rereads are definitely gonna be challenging. So as you can see, or as you saw, that didn't exactly go the way I planned. I didn't get a lot of green prompt cards, so that was a success, but it also kind of went as wrong as it could. 3 prompts is great. 3 prompts is perfect. That's exactly the number I wanted, but I don't know if you could hear in the voiceover while I was rolling. The first time it landed on the reread, I was like, that's not great, because I don't really have any books I want to reread this month, and quite honestly, I'm not a big rereader anyway. That's why the square is there. It also, I think, is gonna make it harder to overlap on Orilium, having it has to be our reread as well. But I was like, that's fine, we can make that work. And then the next one came up. And then honestly, the third one, I kind of feel like maybe I had just accepted my fate at that point. But yeah, so I don't usually read. One reread would have been a challenge, but I have to find 3. So I did have to sit for a bit and really think it through, but we've got there. I'm definitely going to try and get to all of these books, but realistically, if once I see the Orilium prompts, these don't overlap and I can't double up on Orilium, although I do plan in Orilium to use as many scrolls as possible, so I should be able to cut the TBR down, but depending on how busy the month ends up being, these are probably the ones that might fall by the wayside. But I think I have picked ones that fit with other goals and actually I would really want to read. I'm not just going to be reading them for the sake of it. The first one could actually have fit in with the buddy reads I already talked about. I just didn't think about it at the time. And that is Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. Faye at Books and Chocoholic is having a buddy read in her Discord where every other month they're going to be reading one of the 4 Saints of Steel books. I've read the first 3 and I was kind of just thinking about jumping in with them for the 4th book, the one I haven't read, but I did really enjoy this one, and I think the second one I wasn't as keen on, and then I loved the third. So to be honest, it wouldn't hurt to read them a little bit closer together, and hopefully I'll finish all 4 then, just in time for Daggerbound coming out, which is sort of set in the same universe. Paladin's Grace is a darkly whimsical, cozy fantasy featuring sock-knitting paladins, badass perfumers, courtroom hijinks, and a heart-racing romance. In this one, we are following Stephen. He is our paladin. He belongs to a group who were dedicated to a god that has died, and the vast majority of their order went kind of berserk and homicidal at that point. So the paladins that are left are quite a small, close-knit group with lots and lots of trauma. And essentially in this series, each book follows a different paladin, having a romance, falling in love, while there's an overarching mystery serial killer story going on within the world. I really enjoy this universe as a whole. They are cozy, but quite honestly, I don't think I would have described them as cozy fantasy. These are still pretty high stakes we're dealing with, and I do really enjoy the romances. Grace, from what I remember, was a really good protagonist. She's a very traditional T. Kingfisher protagonist, someone a little bit older, a little bit more world weary, someone who isn't just going to fawn and take any shit from anyone, but also is kind of riddled with her own anxieties. I'm looking forward to rereading this and maybe picking up some of the characters that we see expanded on later as they start out here. Plus, I need you to look at these covers because they're so nice. They're so nice. Then the next book, or the The next reread I have is sort of a placeholder. I take part in Turtle Recall, which runs every other month, where we vote for and read one of Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. Because it's voted for, we might not be reading books in order, we jump about. Any of them though would be a reread, since I have, as of last year, officially finished the entire Discworld series. If though the book that gets picked isn't one that I particularly want to reread right now, maybe I read it last year or it's just not one of my favourites, then my goal this year for myself was also to reread the 8 Wizards books, the sub-series that runs within the Discworld as a whole, and my next one would be the 3rd Wizards book, which is Sourcery. So I will either be reading a Discworld book or Sourcery, or because these are fast books, I could even be reading both. I really love these hardback Discworld books. I've been collecting them, but I've tended to listen to the Discworld audiobooks, so for this reread it would actually be really fun to read it physically. Then the last reread I really struggled with because nothing was jumping out at me. And it's funny because I'm going to talk to you in a little bit about my plans for Old School April, which is all about nostalgia and potentially rereading old favourites, but nothing I have planned for Old School April is a reread, so I struggled. But then I had a thought, something that doesn't feel like I'm just putting it on here to put it on here, something I really do want to reread. This is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. It is the first book in his Material Universe trilogy. We have Boyfriend Material, the sequel, Husband Material, and then the 3rd book in the trilogy, Father Material, is out in June. So my absolutely genius plan here, and it makes sense, I just, at what is time, I hadn't thought about it yet, but I would love to reread Boyfriend and Husband Material before Father Material comes out. And yes, the way it probably would have happened would be me frantically rereading them back to back, almost as Father Material was coming out, but would it not be better to read Boyfriend Material in April, read Husband Material in May, and then be ready at my leisure to read Father Material when it releases in June? It makes so much more sense, and the timing is perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. If you are interested in reading these books by Alexis Hall, then please let me know, because I would love to buddy read them. This one, I think I've now reread actually a couple of times because it's so much fun and it covers all of my favourite tropes, and Alexis Hall is one of my auto-buy authors, so I'm very, very excited for this, and I know that I love it. I know that it's fast-paced, it's funny, it's light. No matter what comes up on my TBR for Orilium, this will be a really lovely palette cleanser, so it's perfect. Much like my Discworld book, when I originally read this, it was a paperback copy, but now I have these really beautiful Illumicrate editions of the first 2 books, so it'll be really nice to read this physically on this really beautiful hardback. So you've got this. Decision made. Which brings us to Old School April. Old School April is a watching, reading, crafting a-thon month that is hosted by Kelsi at what was Slime & Slashers and has recently been rebranded to Kelsi's Nostalgic Life. Kelsi's channel is all about horror and all about kind of that 90s nostalgia vibe, and Old School April really leans into this. You can read anything you want, you can watch anything you want, but you are recommended to be reading things that are at least 20 years old or fit whatever is nostalgic for you. So for me personally, I'm going to be leaning into 80s and 90s vibes. Now, I did say that I have so many books planned for Orilium, and even without knowing the prompts, I know I will. So my plan for Old School April is to do what I did last year. The way the prompts works, you can really prompt shop after you've read your book. No matter what you read, you'll probably find at least one prompt to fit, if not multiple prompts. So what I will do is read the books that come up with Orilium and submit them for Old School April, no matter how they fit. That's completely allowed, it's totally fine. And what I'll really be doing to get that old school April vibe is focusing on the activities and the crafting and the watch-alongs and what I personally am going to choose to watch media-wise for April. That said, I do have a couple of books that I would maybe like to squeeze in. I mean, I said a couple, but I mean there's 6 right here. The Babysitters Club was something I was obsessed with when I was a primary school age, I guess, middle grader. And yes, I could reread some of the Babysitters Club for Old School April, but I don't know that they would hold up, or that they would hold up for me. These were never something I read, so they're completely new to me. I don't have any expectations going in, but also as an adult, I enjoy mysteries a lot more than I did as a child, and it's just nostalgic enough. I picked up this selection really randomly as I saw them appear in charity shops, so I don't have them in any kind of order. Judging by the numbers I have, there are at least in the 20s of these mystery series, and I've just grabbed the ones that I saw and had the most interesting titles. This is the biggest of the 6. It is Babysitters Beware. I think this one is going to have a more full cast feel to it, whereas the other ones will focus primarily on one of the babysitters. Then I have Christie and the Vampires, Dawn Schaefer, Undercover Babysitter, The Mystery of Claudia's House, Claudia and the Mystery at the Museum, and finally Stacy and the Missing Ring. The only other book that I am thinking about reading would fit into Old School April probably better than it would fit into any other month, but that's not really why I'm picking it up or considering picking it up. The other day I saw a trailer for the new adaptation of A Woman of Substance. It looks really good, it looks really just aesthetically pretty, and it seems really dramatic. I think it is about a woman challenging a fashion dynasty. I don't know, but it looks very, very pretty and I really want to watch it. But the thing is, if I want to watch it, I'll probably want to read it. And if I'm going to read it, I need to read it before I can watch it because I won't do it the other way around. The problem, I think the book first came out sometime in the 70s, so although that's not really nostalgic for me personally, it definitely fits that Old School April vibe, which is about the 70s, 80s, 90s. The only thing is, I'm not sure if this is self-sabotage, because the book is like 900 pages of family saga women's fiction. That's not something I ever pick up for myself, and so I am tempted to pick this up. If I do, it will be an audiobook and I'll get it as my Everand credit for the month. Probably the decision will come down to whether I can make it fit with Orilium. Ideally multiple Orilium prompts, because I'll use a scroll. If I end up with a really high physical TBR, then maybe I'll pick this up on the notion that I'll chip away at it throughout the month. If I end up with a lot of books that I think I'm going to end up listening to for Orilium, then this might just kind of disappear. But in theory, maybe this is on the TBR. Then for the rest of Old School April, I'm going to be all about watching things and really trying to hit that nostalgia. I've always been more of a TV show person than a movie person, so I do have some cartoons and some TV shows that I'd like to get to. For this year's Old School April, the theme overall is the mall, and I've chosen to be on the food court team. But it means that with that mall theme, there were a couple of things I vaguely had in the back of my mind that would fit this really well, and I think I'm going to try and prioritise. So first we have Rugrats. This is an animated cartoon from I think the 90s, and it follows a group of toddlers as they have adventures. Lots of the episodes, to my memory, happened at the toy shop, which I think was in the mall, so this would fit. Then the other mall themed TV show is The Tribe. Again, I think this was the 90s, it might have been the early noughties, and again, vaguely, I think this is an Australian TV series based in a kind of dystopian world. We follow groups of teenagers who have formed tribes, and the tribe that we are following through their challenges, the things they have to face in this world that they're having to now look after themselves. They come up against all sorts of challenges just surviving, things like finding enough food, what happens when someone gets pregnant, and also then they face off against rival gangs, and I think it does get quite dramatic towards the end. But the tribe that we are following are the Mallrats because they are hiding out, they are based, they are camped in one of the local malls. I remember really loving this show, and I think it's available entirely on YouTube, so I'm definitely going to try and check it out. Away from the mall theme, I have a couple of other shows already in mind, and they're all things that I've seen recently flagging up on my YouTube recommendations as full playlists or intros to cartoons. If I can't find the full episodes, I might just spend some time watching the intros, the cartoon, the music openings, but I think I can find playlists. And so I don't know that I would want to watch hours and hours of these episodes, but I definitely want to try one or two. Noah's Island is all about a group of animals that are shipwrecked on a desert island and the community they build there. The Worst Witch is a TV series about a girls' school for witchcraft. Think Harry Potter or Nevermore, but girls only. I know there was a remake recently, but the version that I would be watching, if I can find it, is the version from the 90s. We also have Care Bears. I don't know how to describe Care Bears other than they're Care Bears. They're bears, magical bears that care a lot. They have little adventures. Again, preschool me was obsessed with Care Bears. I still have Care Bear toys and figures dashed about the place. I don't know again how well this holds up as an older person watching them, but I would like to at least watch some and give it a try. I'm also thinking maybe Class of the Titans might be quite fun to watch because this year marks its 20th anniversary, so technically it just qualifies for OSA now, but it's a little bit like, not a magic school, but a school setting for the reincarnated teenagers of Greek heroes. So it's a little bit like Percy Jackson, but in more of a school setting. Again, one I watched a while ago. I remember really enjoying it because I loved seeing the different cameos of Greek mythology characters. I think it could be a lot of fun. Then I have a couple of shows that aren't cartoons, they are aimed at adults. We have Due South. This was a 90s show about a Canadian Mountie who comes to Chicago on the trail of his father's killer and ends up teaming with a Chicago PD cop. Then we have MASH. This is a show from the 70s and it follows the nurses and doctors at a Mobile Army Surgical Hospital unit during the Korean War. This one is really long running. It's got about 11 seasons. It starts out as quite a slapstick comedy, but becomes over its 11-year run much more dramatic, much more left-leaning, much more socially aware. It's probably one of my all-time favourite TV shows, and I've honestly lost track of how many times I have rewatched it at this point. Then there is Starsky Hutch. This is a buddy cop TV series from the 70s. Last year during Old School April, I rewatched seasons 1 and 2. This year it might be nice to aim for season 3 and 4, or at least maybe season 3. And then finally we have Everwood. This just came up on Netflix recently, and it had that, I remember this moment without really remembering anything about it. If I recall, it's about a single father who is a doctor moving to a new town with his big family, and then just the kind of the life they live there. I remember it fitting vaguely in that Gilmore Girls, Dawson's Creek type of vibe. So since it's available and easy to find, it might be nice to try a couple of episodes and see if it lives up to my memories of it. So there you go, those are my plans for April that don't include Orilium. I mean, Orilium is big. Magical Readathon is a massive undertaking, and none of this is going to help with that. But it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fun. I really love Old School April as well, and I don't want to miss out on that, and this feels like the best way to combine the two. I have some craft projects on my own in mind for Old School April that I can do while watching TV, maybe while listening to some audiobooks. I have some cross stitching that I would like to start, and I have some colouring books that I bought for Halloween-a-thon last year. Never been big on adult colouring books, but I did really get into some of them. I'd like to get back to that and give it another try. And I know that there'll be lots of kind of interactive activities to take part in through the Discord for Old School April. Lots of food challenges and go visit a nostalgic place or do a nostalgic activity type of thing. So it's going to be a busy month, but April is where work tends to calm down for me quite a lot for a few weeks. So this is the perfect time to really go ham and go for it as much as I can. Let me know what your plans are for April. Are you doing Old School April? Are you doing Orilium? Or leave me an emoji that makes you think of them all. Could be shopping bags, could be the food court. If you're interested in seeing my Orilium TBR or when it becomes available, I do plan on having that ready for you soon. So subscribe to the channel if you'd like to get updates when that goes live. I really hope I'm going to see you in April to chat about some of the books we talked about today. Goodbye.